Hello everybody, we'll get started. So before we recite the 16th chapter, I'll tell you a little bit about the 16th chapter. I mean, we have discussed that as we were learning, but I'll just go over some things. So the 16th chapter is Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. So Daiva and Asura. Anybody knows what Daiva is or Deva is and what Asura is?
Asura is demon and Deva is God.
Correct. So Deva is God and Asura is demon. Okay, so I don't want to use demon again and again, but I would just say bad qualities. Okay, so divine qualities, godly qualities is good, but I don't like that word demon, so I'll say bad qualities. So she talks about good qualities and bad qualities. Now, why does it talk about bad qualities? It talks about bad qualities because it's telling us to not have those qualities, to avoid those qualities, and teaching us what are bad qualities. If we don't know what is bad, we do it. We don't think it's wrong. So it's good to know that that's bad, and then we can avoid it. So that's why I think that Krishna talks about those qualities also. So with that said, let's talk about few of the things. Basically, it lists the good qualities or the divine qualities and then talks very much in detail, or Krishna talks very much in detail about the bad qualities. But I'll just take bits and pieces and we'll talk about it. Okay. You all know we have discussed a lot about good qualities. So let me tell a few of them, and they're all familiar to you. So one is fearlessness. We talk about this. But sometimes it's confused, this fearlessness. I don't want to discuss this now, but you have to understand, just in this pandemic we discussed that not being scared is, I don't know, very good sometimes. So we'll avoid that discussion for today. Maybe some other time we'll talk about fearlessness and what exactly fearlessness means. Purity of heart. So I was looking up a lot of these definitions so that I could explain them well to you. And when I was looking up purity of heart, what I saw was that if we can treat others like we treat ourselves, that is purity of heart. So that's a very nice way of thinking about it, I thought to myself. So there are a lot of times there's a negative quality about hypocrisy, where something applies to you but something else applies to others. So but right now we are talking about the positive quality, which we say as purity of heart. So think about it. Whenever you do anything to somebody, would the same thing be okay if somebody did it for you, or would you do it to yourself? So maybe take a few seconds to ask that question, especially if your conscience at any point tells you that it's not really good what you're doing. Sometimes even though it tells us it's wrong, we do. If we listen perfectly to our conscience all the time, I think we'll always be doing good. Speaking of which, there's a small story by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and I'll read that to you at the end of this discussion, basically, because it kind of tells something about the last few verses of this chapter. Okay, with that, so we discuss purity of heart, and then one of the things that we are all doing is the study of the scripture. So we are studying the Bhagavad Gita, And so that is a divine quality. And then it talks about straightforwardness. So being straightforward. Again, not thinking something and talking something happens all the time. But and it's very, very difficult sometimes. Being totally honest about your thoughts may be hurtful. So you can, just push your thought away, but you have to be polite in speaking. But over time, they will all be in unison. So they will all align themselves. And it will happen. If that's what you want, it will happen. So we'll, discuss specific qualities as and when. Then there is, it's a negative quality used in a positive way, which says absence of anger. And today's class, I will discuss anger a lot. Okay, because that's something that none of us can avoid. Whether we express it sometimes physically, verbally, thought, but it's very, very hard to not get angry. And we'll talk about anger actually. I definitely want to talk about it because Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna says, there are 3 gates to hell, one of which is anger. So we definitely have to address this. Okay, I'll talk about it much more in detail, the anger, and we'll also discuss what makes us angry and how to control. I mean, sometimes I talk so much, but you may ask me, yes, I know everything, but how can I control something? So just some thoughts. You can use your own method, but we'll just talk about it. Okay, then let me just finish something, but please remind me before the end of the class. I will remember, but if I do forget. So then this is some very interesting quality. Absence of fault finding nature. Any of you there who have not found fault with others, only find fault with themselves? No, this is a very tough thing. It's always some fault somebody did. So, absence of fault finding nature. So, Krishna told very clearly, if you have that quality, it's a divine quality. So, just so that you will have a divine quality, maybe we can try and start avoiding that nature. Somebody didn't do something. There is probably not even one single day that goes by when I don't find fault with others. I'm not talking about anybody else. So I'm sure all of you do have that. But at least you may have some days where you don't. I don't know. It's really, 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 really hard. Really hard to get over that. Okay, then let's move on to compassion. That you all know. And that's a very nice divine quality, which I think many of us have. There are times when we feel the compassion, but due to circumstances, we cannot do things. But feeling compassion towards all living beings, that's something we all do. Then, non-covetousness, that is not desiring for other people's stuff. That sometimes thoughts come, but we, curb our thoughts, or we, try to um, reason out what's right and wrong, but it does happen. Then modesty, humbleness, that's a divine quality too. Very difficult again, very difficult. When you cannot excel or achieve something, we think, oh, we are modest. Okay, we didn't get it, or we are not, at that mark. But if you reach that mark, or if people start praising you, then being modest is even more difficult. And especially you children, there will be times in the future that you will achieve something, you will win a competition, you will get a certificate, and you will get a trophies, whatever it is you want or whatever you participate in. but that should not bring pride in you. Pride in the sense of, I'm happy I won, but that I am the best. There is nobody better than me, or look down on somebody. Those are not good. So here we are talking about the positive quality. So modesty, humbleness is important. Okay, now if I sit on one verse, I may not go forward. So let's continue. Another very divine quality is forgiveness. And it's a very wonderful quality. And we do have it. Sometimes it takes time for it to act. Over time, we forgive people, forget certain things, and forgive. But it's a divine quality. Then, so freedom from pride is again mentioned, and modesty was different. Maybe there are small differences there. So anyway, then now we'll talk a little bit about the negative qualities or the bad qualities, like I told you. One of which is hypocrisy. That's the same thing that I discussed earlier. Then pride, anger, of course, harsh speech. There is variations of this. The harshness can be in speech, sometimes even in a facial expression. That's something it's very hard for me myself to avoid. So sometimes I'm in disagreement with something, and then I make a facial expression. I don't even see it, right? We don't see our own faces. We don't think we did anything wrong, but we have inadvertently hurt the other person with that facial expression. So harshness at different layers and degrees. So which we can try to avoid, and it is a, I don't want to use that word, but let's say it's a bad quality. So then so on and so forth. There are many more bad qualities. I don't want to list everything. So again, all the positive qualities, when you negate them, they become bad qualities too. So now I would like to go past that and talk about anger, which I have been talking about. Um, yeah, so before I talk about anger, the qualities of a negative person, or I should not say negative person, a person with negative qualities starts developing this greed. So whether it be with wealth or power, so you have something, we all need money to survive, and that's very acceptable, but there is a limit to it, right? So even after you get what you want, and you don't even care about how you get it, the means that you use to get it. We believe in dharma, right? The dharmic way of getting things. So whatever it be, whatever method you use, you need to accumulate more and more wealth, more and more power. Like if you think of the olden days, the kings would annex more and more territories and needed everybody to be under them. Okay, if there was an enemy, there was some threat, and that's why they fought, they got, that was okay. But just because they wanted to be superior, they wanted to own everything. So these are all not the divine qualities, so to say. So and then we say ostentation. I'm sure you all understand that, to show of whatever you have. So that is something. So whether it be the car that you drive, or it could be the wealth, the jewelry that you have, or the clothes that you have, and you want everybody to see that. And so this is supposedly a negative quality. It's not me talking, it is Krishna who is saying, and I'm just conveying that to you. So anyway, so on and so forth. So and then he talks about, we, this is the law of karma. We get punished for things, and so on. Krishna says the same about people with demoniac qualities. So although it feels cruel, but that's the law of karma, so we can't avoid. Now the in the last few verses, he talks about 3 gates to hell, which are lust, anger, and greed. And I would like to talk a little bit more about anger. So I have spoken about that before, but I'll talk about it again. So with that, uh, why do we get angry? Anybody? You all know.
When
You
things don't,
huh?
when something doesn't go according to our will,
Correct.
we get
So,
angry.
right. So basically, we are expecting something, or we are desiring something, and the response from whomever is not what you desire or what you expected. So that's what makes you angry. Very clear, whether it be a child, whether it be us, everybody, it's the same thing. A child comes very happily, sees a toy in a store or now on the internet and says, Amma or Appa or whatever they call you parents, and then shows that toy. As soon as they show the toy and you say, okay, I know it's a good toy, but we don't need it, that's it. The child expected you to say something else, but you didn't say. And same thing, we may have the same expectation of the child. I don't have to give you more and more examples. You understood and you yourself said that. So now, so basically, so that's what caused the problem. Now I want to show you, I was just thinking about how I could explain this to you better, and I thought of something, and I want to share what I thought. So now what happens is it's the same person and it's the same thing, but our reaction is not anger, but maybe even joy, maybe some satisfaction based on the person to whom we spoke. And that's because our expectation level was different. So I just wanted to give this example and then make us just realize how we can prevent ourselves from getting angry and what we can do. A little bit we can just talk about. I was talking about anger and going to the temple. So we go to the temple and pray to God about something that we want. We know that God does not talk to us. So we are not expecting God to talk to us. We are expecting God only to listen to our problem. So we pray to God and come out of the temple happy. Now, the same problem, the same thing, you want to tell somebody else at home. Be it a child to a parent, be it us to our spouses or to whoever. So when we tell that problem, we are expecting the other person to talk back to us and tell us something. If what we get is silence, that results in anger. Same person, same thing. One place you were happy when you came out, one place you get angry. Isn't it interesting? I just thought about it today and I thought it was really interesting. All because you expected that person to say something and did not say. Maybe the person understood what you said and needs to think about it and then answer, just like God may give it to you later, what you're asking. So if we start changing our expectations, maybe we may not get as much angry as we normally do. Just a thought, think about it. And another thing about anger is, this is true of any negative quality, and Swamiji has mentioned that too. Just some thoughts of how to control. So the first thing, count 10 and things like that. So before you want to say something harshly because you got angry. So the thing is, not getting angry is the ultimate. I never get angry. If you can reach that state, that's great. But before you reach that state, you can do one of two things. you can suppress your anger, and suppressing your anger is by counting 1 to 10, or just going for a walk, or just leaving that place, and so many things like that. The other way is to replace that thought that came, that angry thought that came in your mind, to replace it with some other positive thought. Suddenly just think about the best time in your life when you were on a roller coaster or in the beach or watching a sunset, based on whatever you like. Maybe that anger will just melt down. Just some thoughts. Okay, try to think about it. I have told kids here, and I have done this experiment about the box where when you get angry you put in your note and things like that for children. That has worked too. But these are some other things that I just thought about. And so since Krishna tells that these are the 3 gates to hell, so let's try to control at least one of them. We can talk about greed another time. So with that, one last statement, and then I'll let you all start reciting. You have prepared for that. Okay, the one of the other things that in this chapter Krishna says is to follow the shastras, basically. So we need some authority, right? Like if you go to a park or something, you need a guide who shows you. So you follow the guide, right? Follow the leader, right? So you need that guide, and that guide to us is the scriptures, right? So he says, therefore, let the scriptures be your authority in deciding what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. So that's what he says. For that, in fact, there's a small story by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and I want to share that. What particular Shastra do you follow? Was the question put to Sri Ramakrishna by a devotee. I follow no Shastra whatever. I plead with the deity residing in my heart for directions, and I act and live as I am guided by that being. Therefore, I have not made any mistake in my life. What I am made to do and to utter by the deity within would not come into conflict with the Shastras. This was the answer given by Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So all that I am trying to say here is that there is an inner conscience in all of us, and no matter what, if we listen to that conscience, even momentarily or at some times, we may do something wrong, but that conscience constantly pricks us and guides us and tells us what's right. So please try and listen to that conscience.